Hi,
Let me
everybody.
touch your boobs.
Hello, hello.
So if you're not a fan of the words, peak fiction. Call everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Peak Fiction Time.
It is I.
I don't remember what episode this is, but today we're going to talk about MinMod's submission. Pasta Man didn't show up today, so I had to kill him and replace him with Chandler.
We had to sacrifice the koala to get a chicken in.
We had to drag Chandler back into Mirsa because he was kind of been an absentee recently.
So, today we're going to be talking about Heavenly Delusion, but we're not talking about the manga yet. That's to be determined. We're talking about the anime adaptation from, Production IG?
Production IG, yes.
The people who did the Ghost in the Shell, not the original Ghost in the Shell movie. I think they did the TV series, the one where Makoto...
Standalone Complex?
The one where Kusanagi has a big old gap.
Production IG has done a ton of like old sci-fi stuff.
They've done lots of like
in the 2000s.
Lots of the 3x3 memes where it's like, oh, you're such an edgelord for putting that on your 3x3 type.
Oh, look at my taste. I'm better than yours.
I'm smarter than everyone. And Heavenly Delusion is one of their newer ones. This is something that MinMod gassed up before it got an adadaptation.
Yes, I read it around almost like a few months before. It was pretty exciting.
You read it?
Yeah.
I read it. Not on Reddit, but I did read it. So I was super excited, and I was kind of like, how did I not hear about this before? Because it appeals to me in so many ways, and like a bunch of ways it targeted me specifically. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe nobody told me about this sort of thing.
This thing was specifically made with you in mind.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It was
and I know about the show because of you fucking gassing it up a bit.
Oh, I've been gassing
all the time.
Oh yeah, I made it like my little part-time job for a while. That's when, especially when anime.
You still gas it up, don't you?
Oh yeah, I got it. You know, I feel dedicated to it. When the anime was releasing, I was like making the threads. I was like, posting the stuff. I was getting into like other servers.
Being autistic, basically.
Guys, you should watch.
Yeah.
It's currently on episode 4. You should watch that sort of thing. Anime Trending is now giving it one of the Anime of the Year awards and stuff. So that was a big deal. And I was in that server pumping it up too. So I feel kind of proud. They even published in the newest chapter. They even said at the top of like the chapter page, it's like won like best Anime Trending award in like Japanese. Very, very funny. So anyways, now it's slightly popular. At least it's a known franchise now. It's a known kind of property a little bit because nobody knew about it for years.
It hasn't reached the level of like, I can't like bring this up at work and people would know what it is.
Yeah,
but
it's not that kind of level, but at least it's a little bit to at least anime fans, because before it was unknown completely. Nobody was even reading it. Nobody even knew it existed before. So I think anime did a little bit of its job.
So, me and Salt both kind of had the same opinion here. This feels like what Made in Abyss was trying to be.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Made in Abyss, so I can't judge that.
You watch this instead, because it's the same concept.
I did watch it.
It's the same. It's the same
You
concept.
I hear it's pretty good.
Watch it again. It's the same concept of like a guy and a girl going on like a journey in like this mysterious world, as Made in Abyss, and it's fucked up and it's dark, but it's also funny and cute. But this is way less degenerate.
You say watch it again as a meme, but I do genuinely feel like I do have to watch it again because I may have missed some details in the early episode that foreshadowed stuff later on.
So
I think I'm gonna read the manga before I ever rewatch this again.
Oh yeah,
and also to comment about the setting, it's surprisingly more upbeat than like most post-apocalyptic.
Ruined world.
Ruined world.
Yeah.
Okay. is more upbeat than a ruined world. Like, people like kind of still smile. They kind of still like function in. It still kind of like functions like a regular society, but everything just looks damaged,
dilapidated, but not completely destroyed.
Like everyone's still got a bit of hope, and they're trying to make their own heaven.
Basically, making the most out of everything that's been thrust onto them.
Yeah, it's not like Mad Max, just like, roving gangs of
it's basically
murder everywhere.
It's basically the polar opposite of like Technolize, because that has a very similar world, but in that one, everybody just wants to kill themselves. So in this one, people are a lot more approachable.
On that Wheatley grind set.
And upbeat and smoking weed. Weed shows up in this series. Epic 420.
Because it's a super big crime in Japan. You can't have any kind of weed. So, it's pretty surprising whenever it actually shows up.
Like, weed showed up in Lupin.
The Japanese law enforcement when I have weeds in my yard.
They were growing all weed. I guess I'll just bring a little... the mangaka. So is Ashiguro. He's famous for that Maid Girl anime. I'm sure people have seen some gifs of. As the town moves... He made that for like 10 years. That's like his biggest series. So this was like sort of surprising people that, oh, this is so dark and this is so unlike the other thing. But really, it's still in line with his love of like mystery novels and stuff. So he literally says like, well, I kind of expect people to reread it like after they finish it, just so they can catch on the things they miss, because I don't want to like shove it in people's faces, all the little clues and stuff.
Yeah.
So I definitely encourage everyone to reread it.
Yeah, like that's the kind of thing my girlfriend and would watch, the kind of stuff that like has all these foreshadowing details early on that like, wait, that thing I saw earlier. Yeah.
And you don't notice it at first. It's not like it's telling you and like shoving it in your face saying this is important later. It's just sort of like, a little detail in the back.
Yeah, it trusts your intelligence. In fact,
yes.
There was a bit,
even at the end of the series, there's like a lot of unanswered questions. Especially pertaining to the academy parts.
There were some bits that Gabe didn't pick up that I picked up on my first watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say
later.
Part of it is because I kind of nudged him in the right direction, but
I figured that on my own. You didn't do anything.
the like one little thing. So okay, I guess we haven't even established the plot of this. Basically, there are two stories happening. You have this school of students, and you're not fully given the context of it, but it's basically like a laboratory of some sort, and
it's an enclosed space where like children are raised in this sanitized environment.
Like a boarding school kind of thing, but it's like you realize just like you're always stuck.
And they're all under surveillance.
Yeah.
In fact, another thing, they never explained why Tokyo never showed up on the cameras.
Oh yeah, it's just another mystery. Just another mystery. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so
I have a lot of theories about that, but
and also, what the fuck was that to deal with Oscar?
The fucking alien guy. Yeah, that
was weird.
Connected.
Fucking A. Lamau looking ass.
It's like an imaginary friend everybody else can see except the adults. But I do want to mention this. But like that little boarding school like surveillance place, like it kind of reminded me of like this one Bulgarian king, like he like put like a bunch of kids in a room, and like he wanted to figure out like what happens if we leave a bunch of these kids in here like with no contact. Maybe we'll find the original language, but that didn't happen, and the kids kind of grew fucked up, which is kind of like what's gonna happen to these kids a little later.
Yeah, but, so where I was going with that is that we go back and forth between these two stories. The one that we mentioned about Kiriko and Maru, the boy and the girl that are traveling through the world, and then this school. And there are very, very vague connections between these two stories. And one of the ones I picked up on is like with the Kiriko and Maru story, it's like a monster of the week format. They're fighting a different monster every single episode.
Yeah, and like one of the first monsters exactly resembles one of Kona's drawings.
Yeah, we see this, and it's like this fish monster with like sticky hands. And at the same time that we see this monster, there's a girl in the other plot thread that is climbing up walls. And she vents, and haha, red sus.
I hate you.
But she kind of reminds me of Froppy from My Hero Academia, and I didn't make that connection that her sticky hands were the same as the fish until way later.
She kind of has the same face too.
I didn't make that connection until just now when you said it.
Yeah, that's what I love about this, is that it's so subtle that it's like you don't pick up on it your first go.
Yeah.
It's very weird to have such a major property actually take its audience seriously is what I want to say.
Yeah, I love it when stories do that when they actually trust the intelligence of their audience.
Yeah, it's not like shoving keys in your face. Oh, hey, here's what happens exactly.
Constantly giving flashback little in sepia tone, saying, "Remember when this happened?" And they're constantly playing things from older episodes, like for 10 minutes, like a shonen or something.
Oh god. Yeah. So
this does publish in the same magazine as like Hoseki no Kuni, Skip and Loafer, Vinland Saga. It's a lot of heavy hitters, monthly afternoon.
God, this was airing at the same time as Vinland Saga Season 2, so I was just getting peak back to back every single week. It was amazing.
I need to get back into watching anime.
Yeah, you fucking weeb. Or non-fake weeb.
I haven't watched an anime on my own in years.
I only watch with friends nowadays.
Yeah,
I do watch a lot though.
I only watch for peak fiction time these days, or for like my dumbass YouTube.
Yeah,
no time.
This is already a disaster. It's a fucking disaster of an episode.
Oh my God.
So there's a lot of mysteries with the school and stuff, but what was your guys' favorite story basically? Because mine was definitely Kirikomaru.
Mine, you probably, I mean Kirikomaru, but. You probably already know what my favorite part of the entire season was, which is the episode where they meet so Kiriko and Maru, they're looking for, we haven't established their goal even.
It's a whole string of goals. It's like, oh, they have one goal. It's like, well, that didn't work out. Well, maybe this thread will work. And then they follow a different thread. And it's like following a main story quest in a video game that keeps branching off.
They're looking for heaven, and Kiriko specifically is looking for a scientist. We're gonna go into her backstory in just a minute, but she's looking for a scientist from her past, and also this one guy that she knew when she was really young.
Yeah, like an older brother, mentor figure,
like a Spike Spiegel.
A Kamina to her Simon.
Yeah, and they find one doctor, and his design just went hard as fuck. He looked like a fucking supervillain. He's got like an eye patch. What was it? Usami? Is that his name?
Usami, yeah.
Usami, yeah. Oh my God, that episode. Erin, my girlfriend came in right as we just got done with that episode, and then I explained what happened to her, and she just broke down crying.
That was the and that's the type of writing you get all over this. It was absolutely brutal emotionally, and it was very, very human. Basically, he's got this girl who he wants to find a way to kill her because if she dies, she's gonna turn into those monsters that they fight every episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, my original guess with the man-eaters was that somehow the kids were responsible for creating them, or at least making the ideas for them. But
they're definitely connected.
Monsters.
Yeah.
We are the real monsters.
And
the monster inside of me is exploding.
There are two wolves inside of you. You're a furry.
So we're going on kind of a tangent, but basically, what's up?
I gotta get this fucking image. Hold on. There we go.
Just keep summarizing. It's fine.
Basically, he's looking for a way to let this girl die because she's on the verge of death already. But if she dies any normal way, she'll turn into one of those monsters. And Kiriko and Maru have this ability. Maru specifically has this ability to. He has some sort of special touch where if he touches these monsters, he can dig in. It's like hacker voice I'm in, and he it's like represented by a hand going into
he
the
like
system.
reaches into their very essence.
Yeah,
Basically, just uses a ghost hand to crush their heart.
and they die peacefully. And so he killed, and before she dies, she wants to like see the sky one last time, and she can communicate through this little tablet. Like all of her thoughts go onto this tablet, and the doctor, like after she passes, they look at the tablet, and she has this big heartfelt message for the doctor. It's like a confession that she loved him, and he just breaks down into tears, and it's a very, very meaningful and powerful moment. And that made me cry every time I watched it. I watched it 3 times.
Yeah, I think I started.
I kind of wish I cried at it. I'm a monster for not doing that.
And I was scared during that time too, because at the same time, the fucking delusional anti-science, anti-vax cult or whatever. I'm gonna call them anti-vax because that's effectively what they are.
They're insane.
They were raiding the building, and they were talking about destroying the generator. So I was scared that she was gonna die in turn before Maru was gonna be able to kill her peacefully.
Yeah, there's some social commentary like that. Like Japan actually has a lot of like weird sort of biases about prosthetics and disabilities and stuff like that. Like I remember Baiken from Guilty Gear was almost like censored. It was allowed to be in games, stuff like that. So that's kind of pretty funny because a lot of people try to pigeonhole this series as one kind of politics or another because it's like, oh, it's an anti kind of the school, like all that kind of stuff, and it's like
if they're not
but also
entirely
like, well,
right,
it's also anti this. It's anti, like it's not really that sort of.
If they're not entirely liberal, they are entirely conservative.
Yeah, see, so it's kind of hard to pitch. It's kind of hard. A few commentators over the year couldn't really pigeonhole it properly and like made big messes of it. So it's kind of interesting from that perspective.
Can we talk about how their leader died though?
Oh yeah,
funniest.
Oh no! Listen, I posted the manga too. She didn't die.
Wait,
the whole point was that she didn't die, but they're just gonna pretend that she is so they could get the
that was kind of my guess. Like that was kind of my guess because like
I actually thought she did die.
It's kind of not hinted that she didn't, but like I don't think she would just die from having a wrench just dropped on her head.
Was it a wrench? I thought it was like a rock.
No.
This is what happened.
She fell upside down onto the concrete head first.
Why was I thinking a wrench then?
I don't know. She was dodging like a rock that was thrown. It's such a stupid little thing. It's supposed to be funny. Like a lot of these things are comedy. He wrote like a big comedy manga. Like his biggest one was sort of comedy related. So there's a lot of like little funny bits here and there. It's darkly funny at a few points too. So
yeah, and with her age, I actually believed she got killed by that.
So
I did.
Anyways,
we're kind of all over the place because honestly, like I feel like we should definitely go into the elephant in the room, which is Kiriko's backstory and why Kiriko's on this journey.
That's kind of the crux of the series because think about it. It's kind of 2 people merging into one and 2 storylines merging into one. You have all this kind of things going on. So she's kind of the heart of the series in a way.
So,
so absolutely.
This is a MinMod submission, which means that it's a gender bend.
Of course.
Why would it get turned into a girl?
The most this is like the one gender bend of the past 20 years to actually have like a plot, to actually have like, oh, there's other things going on. It's not just someone wakes up.
I don't care what gender you are, put on the dress.
Yeah, it's not there's an actual plot going on, and it's not just like little keys dangling over a generic kind of rom-com story. So it's a very, very like you have this kind of body horror angle. You have some odd dark sexuality stuff going on.
It's a very
identity crisis sort of things.
It's a very difficult series to talk about because it's funny that Salt's posting Monster because that's the only other series I could think of that is this densely layered with the writing.
The thing is about the writing, it's not only super dense, but it's also super like how do I say it? It's like super. It just gets on with it. Like it'll give you a line, and it won't like hang on it forever or like constantly go over it. Like it'll just go on to the next thing. Like it gives you. It's very like It's very quickly paced. It's actually very fast paced.
Yeah,
you really look at it.
So
it's very dense, and it's like there's so much going on. You know, it's like poetry. It rhymes. You know.
Who wants to summarize Kiriko's backstory?
Okay. Well, no, I think I would butcher it with memes. Somebody else do it.
Oh God. Oh God.
It's really awful.
Why?
Right?
Okay, so basically you have this young boy named Haruki, and he's got two people in his life that he admires. His sister, who's like a famous racer, she be doing Mario Kart and shit, and she's
like his caretaker too, basically like a parent.
And this guy that he's like desperate for the approval of, named Robin. He kind of looks like Spike Spiegel. He's really
he's like
cool.
the gang leader or whatever, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought Spike the very first time I saw him.
And
but he's an asshole.
Yeah, well, we'll go into that later. But I think what's interesting is that you are kind of misled regarding Robin, but like not really, because like his introduction, the first thing you see him do is he kicks the shit out of a bunch of thugs, and then the second thing you see him do is yell at Haruki and call him like, what was it, like useless or something, or he's like he's very like aggressively, I don't know how, he's very aggressive towards him is kind of the first impression you get of him, but
it has this obviously kind of mentoring kind of role a little bit, or maybe it's just Haruki's perspective.
You're led along to believe that he's like this cool badass guy, and I feel like the Spike resemblance actually plays into that a bit.
Yeah, and we're not going to go into the twist until the very end, but basically these two people are the most important people in this boy's life. So during one of his sister's races, there's this man-eater monster thing on the track, and he can't warn anybody in time, and he doesn't want them to get eaten by it, so he tries to take it on alone, showing you a few things at once, mainly that he's very impulsive.
He's a hothead.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to let go of a knife.
And go ahead.
Oh no, he's just very impulsive. Even Maru says like, used to be really hot-headed before, so now you're all cool-headed. But it's like it's supposed to be
desperate to prove himself, basically. Specifically to his sister and to Robin, the two people that he admires most.
And then throughout the entire rest of the series, in general, really, like proof himself to himself that he can protect people. He can be someone that people depends on. Yeah.
And so he tries to take this monster on, and it basically eats him. And the sister comes in and crashes her, like she sees it and then tells the other racers, hey, stop the race. There's a monster. And then she sees that it's eating her brother, and she crashes her car into it. Her go-kart or whatever. And then
how many calories you think he is?
He is 2 calories. He doesn't even know basic math. And so Haruki got eaten, basically, like he's only just an upper half now.
How did he live after that?
And
plot armor.
And so he passes out, and he thinks he's about to die. And then we get this, like, gorgeous, like, Berserk-esque, or End of Evangelion, if you prefer-esque, like, imagery of, like, this red crimson sky, and, like, his body
nightmare kind of eclipse-looking language,
And it's so, like, this visually, this is just absolutely gorgeous. Like,
this is, like, all fully hand-painted backgrounds and stuff. Really beautiful backgrounds. This whole series.
It makes me kind of want. It makes me kind of want Production IG to pick up like Berserk, because it looks astoundingly gorgeous.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing. Let's look at the production a bit, because like, there's no like CG monsters in this. I was so terrified of this. So the whole time I was like, God, they better not make the monsters CGI or anything like that.
So I brought up that. I brought up that they did Ghost in the Shell, and in Ghost in the Shell there is tons of CGI to the point that it's like jarring. And so with this one, it shocked me that they didn't use CGI, to be honest. For even some of the more complex things, like the robots in the school or the this, like, it was just kind of shocking to me.
So some of the school bits like were a little CGI, but they're mostly solid, like stationary, kind of like Mina or something. So it doesn't really matter. Or like the go-karts. That was the one CG thing that like moved the go-karts.
Yeah.
Other than like it was really, really nice.
Yeah, the school is like static, sterile, not much to look at, just like the school itself.
This feels like an old like 90s anime, like Now and Then Here and There type style. So it's it's very visually distinct. But
and this feels like super, like, it's obviously a digital like series of the modern age, but it also feels so analog. You could really feel all this kind of rust and like vines growing in the background and all the it's so tangible. And it's so like high definition too. It's such a good production.
So anyway, she wakes up, but now that Haruki wakes up in the body of their sister, and they have a panic attack, and everybody thinks that it's just the sister. They don't know that his brain's been transplanted into his sister's body. And that's kind of what sets her now on this journey to go find the doctor, because the doctor's gone, Robin's gone, and she basically lost everything.
Completely abandoned, traumatized, but she's really good at covering it up. But then
shortly after coming to this realization, Salt's favorite scene came up.
Shut up! Shut up!
What scene?
You know the scene.
Tell us.
Okay, so Haruki quite enjoys their new body, despite the tragedy of losing his sister. So we'll leave it at that. Let's say that. Okay.
So basically, hold on. So basically, Kiriko chokes Chandler.
So again, this is the sort of thing they would skip over in a normal series. They're just like, dude, that's a joke. But it is important to the characterization and then what happens at the end. There's a lot of like,
I still think it was
relevant. It's plot relevant information. So
I still think it was a little out of pocket.
Of course. Anyways, this is another nice detail.
Anime, please not have incest challenge.
Impossible.
It's so funny to like treat all these kind of things just in such a crazy way, in such a big production too. So that's like her mission now, to be like sort of a roving bodyguard to try to track down these. It's like a video game sort of thing. It's like a New Vegas or something.
So along with her,
of course, MinMod would bring up New Vegas.
So alongside her, you have Maru, who is like really he really likes her a lot. Like he has a big crush on her. She's hired to be his bodyguard, and his motivations aren't really expanded on as much, but they are. He very much kind of has. He's a little similar to Denji. Chandler, I can hear your like fucking bag and your.
Sorry.
It's like a moving little, like he's like a little dog, like following around.
There's even a part where they're like, like she's like, throw yourself into death's way, and I'll let you touch my
boom.
And he without hesitation jumps, and my brain
before
immediately
she even finishes the sentence.
My brain immediately defaulted to Denji from Chainsaw Man, because that is Chainsaw Man in a nutshell. So, but basically, like, I think the true highlight, or the main appeal of this series is the dynamic between Kiriko and Maru.
Absolutely.
That's the heart, the beating heart of this whole thing. And it's really good. It's really charming. Their back and forth dialogue. The comedy is I think one of the strongest parts of it. And it's super easy to get attached to these characters. And so...
Yeah, it's not super dry and super like, like serious music and they're always serious all the time. It's like, no, they're still human beings. They're still joking around and kind of being kind of,
the tone's pretty consistent. Like I love that it's like it can be serious, but can also have like a lighthearted crack now and then.
I hate you.
They go down into like this kind of like subway station area, and they think, oh hey, there's a man-eater here, but like there's these guys that have like, oh it's a monster, like, oh, so, and they're like, oh, it's a man-eater, but no, it was just a bear.
It was just a bear. And
I love that bit so much.
I think you're saying like the mix of like kind of serious and comedies kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then, then how they're like running around, scurrying and trying to get away from the bear. It's like serious, obviously, but it's also it's funny. Mario's like fatal dive, big like shonen finishing move that he got from reading the manga in the earlier episode. So it's sort of like, and then, like Kiriko just looks so like cringe, like, oh, this, it's just like funny. It's like, they're not like a bunch of, I don't know, like Walking Dead, like really like morose kind of, old people or something.
And actually, it's funny you bring up the manga, because that was another moment that was like very funny, but also very meaningful and very like, kind of sad, because Kiriko, she goes out for a bit and then she comes back to where they were sleeping and sees that Maru's gone, and then she starts to get like in a panic because she's scared of being abandoned again, and she it turns out that he's like, hey, I'm in the next house over, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to freak you out, and it turns out he was
jorking it.
He was straight jorking it. And it's cute little moments like that. They have such good chemistry that you don't see a lot of the time these days in anime. I love this GIF. This GIF makes me happy.
I want to make more. I want to make these.
Can somebody edit Kiriko's hair onto a cat?
I can do that. I'll do that.
You've done it with capybaras.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Wait, was there why a capybara?
Because she kind of resembles a capybara.
All right, I'll do it.
So
Kiriko Bara.
There is a little more sort of content in the school stuff in the manga. There's like they just have a little more kind of like school. Because some romances butting up, some like little jokes and stuff going on between them too, but it's not like super plot important. So,
yeah, there's a lot of there's this one guy that looks like Mob Psycho, and I
kept making that joke,
and he's really horny for the girl that has the fluffy ears, and there's like a part there's like that threw me off. There's like a part where he pulls her over and he's like, "Hey, I look at you and I get urges, and I want to taste you." And then she's like,
these kids have no idea what sex is.
and she's like, "So you want to eat me?" And he's like, "No, what?"
That's foreshadowing.
Yeah,
it's
they
all
both have no
foreshadowing.
clue.
Even those little funny lines are all foreshadowing. Do you want me? Oh, and then she asks, "So you wanna cut me up and stick me with needles?" What? It's like, what? No, of course not. Because she's having the little future visions. Remember?
Yeah.
So there's so much like layers to like each like sort of storyline where it's like it's sad on its own. Like this Sammy stuff is sad just on its one level, but then after the second level, it's sad on even deeper. It's sad all over again in a different way.
Yeah,
once
I didn't even pick up on the fact that the doctor guy was Usumi.
The whole academy section takes place in the past.
Yeah, I had to be told that, and I couldn't remember who he was, but then like Gabe told me it's like,
and it actually makes it more depressing. I didn't even realize that. MinMod just kind of spoiled that for me, and.
Well, it's like once you've watched the whole series, so I thought, okay, so I can talk about that, obviously. I actually told them, wait, don't spoil that to, when we're watching it. Just so it's like, wait, spoil what? What are you talking about?
It's
okay.
Not an
accident.
It's okay. There is a
expectation is that you have enough brain cells to make that connection on your own. If you don't, skill issue.
It's okay. There's just simply a pipe bomb in your mailbox.
Well, I think some people forgetting that.
Counter pipe bomb. I send it back to your place.
Sorry. Go ahead, Salt.
I think people would forget about it if you didn't binge this like we didn't. I mean, we did binge like the first 10 episodes, but like we took like a week break, and then like we watched it again like a week later to finish it, and I kind of forgot who that guy was.
I watched almost the entire series within the last day.
It's very easy. It's like, because the pacing is so good, and it grabs your attention and holds it in like a oh my god, it grabs your attention and holds it in like a vice. And it's very easy to binge.
Yeah, like it had me enthralled all the way through. Asking me questions to myself, thinking that's how I know it was good.
Honestly, I predicted a lot of stuff, and it came true.
And some of those things were not great.
Yeah.
The thing I like about
one of the criteria I judge pieces of media on is by the kind of questions it makes me ask while I'm consuming it.
Mm-hmm. That's very important, I think.
Yeah.
So another thing I want to talk about, because we were talking about the production earlier. This opening is a goddamn banger.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute it makes me sad because it's a very somber, very heartfelt song, but it is a banger. And so is the ending song too. It's very like chill and
the visuals too.
Yeah, I love the changing visuals.
I was just gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, yes. I'll keep doing it.
Okay, so we've been praising this to no end, but unfortunately, nothing's perfect. What are some things that you guys did not like about this?
I thought it was very out of pocket in some cases, and also I didn't really like that episode that was made by Trigger. Like, I do like Trigger, but
I very clearly noticed one of the episodes had different animation.
Yeah, but like there was like weird stylistic choices with that.
So I should clarify. Like, I like Trigger. I just don't think Trigger suits Heavenly Delusion. I just don't think this suits them.
They're just a very full of energy studio, and this is more kind of like calm. This is more calm, kind of. You know what I mean?
There are intense moments, but yes, this is a much more subtle series, and Trigger's shows are far from subtle. They're very over the top, like Kill la Kill or Cyberpunk or Little Witch Academia. That's their style, so it just doesn't really fit something like this. It would be like if they tried to do like Berserk, for example. I just don't think they'd be able to do it. Their style is too distinct.
If they ever did Berserk, it'd be like very goofy,
very weird.
One thing I didn't like is how like we got the reveal of like humans can get the disease that turns them into man-eaters, and we got that foreshadowing early on with Maru accidentally using his touch on the King of Hotels.
That part was cute. The girl was
so
cute.
then I was thinking, what about the King of Hotels? Is Maru not going to make that connection?
Well, or what connection? I think they did, like, maybe they thought, like, well, maybe some people are these kind of man-eaters. They were kind of slowly piecing it together. So then the next episode or two, they learned from Usami, it's like, wait, this girl used to be human and she's going to turn into a man-eater? Yeah. Oh, then they started connecting some pieces together.
Yeah, but, like, it felt like they completely forgot about the King of Hotels then.
Well, we probably won't be seeing them again, right? Because that would be just
Yeah, I will say that I guess I could see why that would be an issue, because basically the way they handle that little subtle twist is he like grabs her boob and then he's about to go in, and then they kind of just pass it off as a joke because Kiriko walks in on them, and then we don't really go back into it and I get that that's part of like the subtle storytelling that the series has in spades, but
Well, another thing is that their mission isn't to like figure out the cause of like the man-eaters or to solve the problem of the world or something. Like they don't. Yeah. That's not their missions. Their missions are very specific, like to them, right? They're not like world heroes saving the world. That's another thing I wanted to mention was that like if in a mystery story, like who is it the detective? Like Is it the reader being the detective and the characters are just kind of like doing their own thing? Is there like a Sherlock Holmes or something? There's no like Sherlock Holmes detective in this story where it's like they're trying to figure out who was the school, who invented the man-eaters, and they're trying to figure out all the big mysteries. It's like the reader is supposed to be asking themselves those kind of questions. And the characters are just kind of doing their own thing. They have their own little main story quests and side quests of their own. They don't really, why would they care about like, the origin of the man-eaters and sort of stuff.
Yeah.
They did mention the King of Hotels later, but
Yeah.
Also, one thing I do want to mention.
Did they mention the king later?
Okay.
Yeah, when they were going to investigate the sort of walled school prison place, they were saying, "Oh, I hope the King of Hotels is doing okay." It's just a little aside.
Yeah.
It's not like she'll be coming up later in like the big they probably won't be meeting these characters again.
But like what I'm saying is, after that reveal came along, it felt like Maru. I mean, we can make it a connection. It's fine. But what it felt like to me was like Maru entirely forgot about the King of Hotels. That's what it felt like to me.
Salt was trying to say something earlier.
Sorry. I guess I forgot to mention this. One thing I also didn't like was I felt like the pacing was very good for the first 6 episodes, but then like it kind of switched between like the school subplot and then the Maru Kiriko plot. Like I felt like that kind of like flip-flopped like pretty poorly a lot.
Maybe, especially maybe with the 2-parters, it was a lot more uneven.
I think it is kind of hard to keep these
I don't mind it.
I think it is kind of hard to keep these 2 threads, the same level of quality consistently throughout the whole thing. And the fact that he does as much as he does is honestly impressive.
In the manga, it is a lot more like different when they switch between the plots. So the episode directors definitely had a lot of they had to do quite a lot of work to try to make everything fit, especially with just 13 episodes.
Oh yeah, there's
so I think they did sometimes
skip
great,
over.
sometimes not so great.
Yeah, I I think it's for the most part it's pretty tight and cohesive. I mean, already from the get-go, it had really good storytelling with that lady that they stay with, and she gets killed because her son got eaten by the monster, and then she gets killed by it, and there's this moment where like Maru is in shambles, and then Kiriko's trying to stay logical, and then he's like, how are you not feeling anything? It turns out she is crying, but she's trying to keep a level head. And I think that's one thing that I really like is Kiriko.
It's the rush.
Huh?
Sorry.
They have kind of like a yin and yang dynamic. So there's logic and emotion, but you get a little bit of emotion with the logic and a little bit of logic with the emotion, and I think that's why they bounce off of each other so well.
A little bit of boy with the girl.
Yeah, I read it more as like Kiriko most definitely had the emotion, but it was like the adrenaline instinct to survive by any means necessary.
Yeah. And so I mean, like I said, I just really like stories that are framed as a villain of the week, monster of the week format, but they use that to set up details about the world and set up future plot points and tell an overarching narrative. And I think each monster kind of leads into the next one very seamlessly. Even the lowest point, which was the like we said, the episode with the trigger, where it's still awesome. They're fighting like the ice monster that's like freezing everything, and there's this guy that was a breeding pig for this whole secret thing.
Female cult.
Yeah.
Matriarchy.
And he has like the secret revenge plot that you only find out at the very end, and it's kind of like dark and twisted a little bit. It has these little, little
imagery,
moral, ethical questions. And it's like,
at
is
the
it right or is
very
it
end,
wrong?
he kills the guy. He kills the guy who I think called out that he was escaping way back when.
Even though after the fact, he ended up trying to, save the son and take care of the son and stuff, and try to find him again, trying to atone for, his guilt. And he noticed when they're having a little dinner party, he was saying, "Hey, Juichi." He immediately stands up and stops the conversation because he didn't want to hear his apology. He wanted to stay angry at him and kill him later. So it's a very interesting look at how atonement works. A lot of how do you become a good person? What kind of world do you want to create? All sorts of interesting questions like this.
Yeah, and then after he got done killing him, it just the regret, I guess, that fell over his face.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you wonder how he felt. I think if this little kid had a whole little family basically to take care of him as he grew up, that would have been perfect for him. You can take switching shifts as if he goes cold or something. But now Juichi's just on his own with the baby and with the car. How is he going to sleep with the baby freezes, or how is he going to take care of him? It's sort of was this really the best decision? So it's I don't know. That's what he chose, at least. Can't do anything about it.
And at least
he might be dead by now. Who knows?
At least at this point, it kind of leaves it open-ended. There's just so many good moments of just clever writing, the part where Maru and Kiriko have to cross this body of water, and then they start to wonder if there's gators in it, so they cross it quickly, and then they find out afterwards there were gators. So
there's a lot of spelunking. Yeah, there's a lot of spelunking moments and kind of adventuring around things, a little more expanded into manga. Just a few pages of walking around the apocalypse.
And there's even there's other connections between the two plot threads. We haven't really talked much about the school, but the two plot threads there's
so much. Every episode is full of little things.
In the school, there's this little girl that wears sunglasses because if you look into her eyes, you see your deepest fears, and that must
have been the girl that was in the parking garage.
Yeah, the one that made Kiriko get eaten alive, which is probably one of the most terrifying scenes in this entire thing.
Yeah.
So there's so many things.
I remember that now.
There's so many things that we could talk about, but we're kind of running a little low on time because Salt's got to go.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We can
I wanted to know if you guys caught one more thing. It's a very small thing, but how did you guys think the ice spider, came about?
I'm guessing one of the kids got turned into a man-eater and had a baby. Maybe.
But that was the ice baby kid. But sure. But how did the big ice spider come about?
I'm not sure.
Are you saying there are two ice spiders?
Well, at least we at least know one. It's that Juichi started falling in love with two of the women there, and two of the women started liking Juichi. And the two women basically were killed for trying to escape with Juichi as well. They were hung, remember? And then a few days later, the spider appeared. So one of those two women were actually the two lesbian girls in the school.
Oh shit.
And
Damn.
So they turned into the ice spider, one of them at least, and that's what started it.
Okay, so
that's why the kid is also an ice baby, because that was obviously one of the they got pregnant with one of the school monster kids.
I love this.
So that's just another little connection sort of thing. It's very, it's not shown in your face, but it makes sense if you think about it, because you realize, well, if the kid has ice powers and one of the adults had to have some magic powers, so who has the magic powers in the show, the school kid, So that's just something you're supposed to be able to connect yourself if you want to. It's not really necessary to get the story at all. It's just another little detail, I love those sort of little stories.
Okay.
And if I may, thinking back on all of the episodes, I'm trying to find some more that I didn't necessarily like, but thinking back on everything now, I feel like just about everything added to the story somewhat. So that's another pro I have to give to it.
There's no filler, it's not that kind of series where it's this is just the filler arc or something. There were some episodes which are definitely kind of cheaper a little bit, maybe episodes 9 and 11, I think, but it was sort of paid off for with 12 and 13, which were really nice looking and well budgeted and stuff. So, those are really minor nitpicks,
9 and 11, you said?
I think so. That was like the first Juichi episode, and then 11 was very school centric. They kind of caught up on everything that we were missing with the school. So just like some setup episodes basically, for the ending.
Yeah.
And then the last 2 episodes are so good.
Absolutely.
Very intense stuff.
So is there any other topics we want to bring up before we talk about like the last stretch?
I think at the very least we need to touch on the Kiriko's gender identity.
Her pronouns
how
are
about
she,
like
they.
the sea assault then? Let's maybe or something like that. It's a little complicated,
Yeah. Because initially Haruki didn't ask to be transplanted into his sister's body. So early on it's very much guy.
It's complicated even then because it's like, well, what was their definitely super like screaming, panicked, and everything after like they found out their kind of reaction. But like, what were they actually like screaming about? They were saying, well, where's my sister? Where's my sister? Where's Robin? I want to see Robin again. Why is my sister dead? Sort of thing. So it wasn't really about like, it wasn't like the typical thing. Like he literally said in an interview, he didn't want the character going like, oh, where's my boy bye? Why do I have boobs? Oh no, where's my thing down there? Oh no, I want to be, I'm a boy, that kind of thing. He said he didn't want to have that kind of typical reaction. He said he read in like other mangas, so that's just like, it's kind of like, well, and then Maru literally like asked her pronouns basically, like, do you want me to keep calling you sis?
He's literally,
it's funny because that's kind of like a modern post-apocalyptic, way to kind of use that kind of modern sort of thing. Like, wait, how do I refer to you then? Sort of thing.
He's literally like, damn, you ass fat. What are your pronouns?
Yeah.
So he was like, he was really worried too. It's like, oh, well, I guess I should like ask you this, like, has it been? And she says, oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it, sort of thing. So it's sort of like, well, it's already a little like sort of not typical, atypical.
Yeah. And then like near the end of the series, there's the well, of course that happens. And then when Kiriko's breaking down, they like think to himself, they worry that they'll lose Haruki and that they'll revert into Kiriko.
It is an interesting scene too. And she says, oh, maybe, my sister's taking over my thing. I'd love that. That would be so great. It's like, really?
Yeah.
So it's like either like, is that like a healthy thing or not? But it's also very subtle, so it's sort of like, who is,
like you said, it's complicated.
It's very complicated. Well, the author has said like multiple times in interviews. It's like, it's not supposed to be explicitly one or the other sort of thing. It's definitely like a spectrum thing.
So are we going to be talking about the ending now?
Sure. It's kind of the only place to end it. Like, I was talking with other fans.
I think I was muted this entire time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you hadn't been saying anything for a while. I was kind of wondering.
Oh my god. I was also getting interrupted, but I wanted to talk about the piece of shit like school person.
Oh, the old lady? So, we can kind of talk about both, because both arcs get a finale at the same time.
Yeah, they both come in at the same time, so.
Also, what did you want to say about the old lady?
I hate her. She's awful. She is nothing but a terrible human being.
She's not even the worst one this season.
She's literally in a wheelchair for most of the season. It's like, but then it's like revealed, oh, she can walk.
It's such a funny scene. It's like the funniest scene. It's so funny.
Yeah. Also, Salt, sorry for interrupting you.
You're fine.
Yeah. So
You're fine.
So basically, in the past, it's revealed like the schools basically starts falling apart, buildings collapsing, and I'm not fully sure on why, but the students are free. They break out of the walls and they find a boat, and then they head to a town. And then while we're shown that, in the current present, Kiriko and Maru arrive in a town, and Kiriko finally finds Robin. Now, up until this point, Robin has been depicted as this heroic, like badass cool guy, just the embodiment of perfection. There's like a part where Kiriko's like running and reaching towards Robin because she's like, I need him.
Yeah, it's really intense. And Maru's like, looks at her like, you want to see Robin again? Like, is it your boyfriend? That sort of thing. Like
he's like, I am right
saying,
here.
Don't be stupid. And it's like it's odd. It's odd. I watched like every kind of like YouTube reaction videos of this, by the way, every single one, because I've been that obsessed. And it's funny, like some people do pick up on the kind of weird, sus kind of reactions Kiriko has, and some just sort of like don't. It's kind of funny.
To be honest, like I showed this to someone, and they said like, I don't blame Maru. Like I'd be upset too. Like
it is
like
weird.
you wanna reunite with this guy you haven't seen in years, and I'm literally right here. I am right here.
And he has to be, what is he gonna
right here, baby?
Like, what is he gonna do? It's like, no, you can't see me again. Be with me. It's like, obviously, that's not what he can say here. So he's
very
supportive. Be mature and sort of like, all right, go see him.
Either way,
of course.
Either way, so we have Robin depicted as just perfect, and Salt. What ends up being the twist? What happens when she finally reunites with Robin?
Look in chat. That is my reaction to what that scene was.
Can't say that on YouTube.
Okay.
Again,
artwork.
I was in a Wendy's.
So Robin sexually assaults her. And you don't see the full thing, but you see all the buildup, and you see like one thrust, and it is...
You see everything. You see it all,
And like, it's not only like, it's also weird because like, he's like, he's kind of like telling her, what person do I see actually? Like, please stop.
Yeah, he's like really, really into the idea of it being Haruki in his sister's body.
He
like
keeps saying his Haruki, like Haruki. Like, why is he saying this?
That's
it's a boy's name. Why is he acting like
a
this?
little boy?
That just
very
adds
creepy.
an
Very
extra layer of awfulness.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing. Again, you wouldn't see an average kind of writer try to depict, and it's not straightforward at all. Because also, of course, the sister. So there's a lot of theories where it's like the sister was Robin as well.
My reaction to the scene was when I first saw it was this. If you would post in the chat.
Okay.
Everyone's
Let's kill him. Let's kill this guy. Let's beat him to death with
Even
hammers.
Asha was like, I'm really surprised everybody, it had to happen, for the story. It's about,
It's
so,
still
we'll
every
see.
time, all 3 times that I've watched it, that scene when it comes up, I'm just tense and uncomfortable and just sad because it's so easy to get attached to Kiriko up until this point, and then this happens, and it's like, she's
never going to be the same again.
It is so cruel, and
she's good at covering things up.
I want to say I was spoiled for that before I had watched it, and so when that episode had come out, I specifically didn't watch it because I was already feeling shitty that day. And then MinMod's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't watch it today. Just give it a week.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting, all right, this isn't gonna go well, but I kind of dealt with it.
Okay, I want to say this. When that scene came up, I had to lock my room just in case anybody came into my room and saw that.
And it's already...
It's very, very intense. On Disney Plus, by the way. So,
it's already...
Disney Plus.
It's already, like, sus, because, like, she takes a bath, and then she's like, where are my clothes? And then he's like, just come like that.
Yeah, from that moment on, I knew exactly.
There's zero sense of any kind of security for herself.
Immediate side eye.
Through the whole series, she's super skeptical. She's skeptical, super wary of her surroundings. She's very cool on her head for the most part. And then this happened, and she just reverts to a child. Basically, she's just completely trusting. It's just really
because it's Robin.
It's Robin. He's great. He's the best, obviously.
Yeah, he's awesome. He couldn't possibly. Oh God.
If you don't really get to see that much.
I'm gonna be real. I kind of didn't like him at first because like he's just screaming at him for no reason.
Yeah, see, that's Salt already knew based on vibes that this guy was no good, and I kind of had the same feeling. I just thought he was annoying, cause like, I mean,
but then he just became worse.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, he sucks.
Well, the reason why he yelled at you for Haruki because Haruki ran out at night to fight the man-eater they found, and he's like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna get hurt. Get the fuck out of here." This sort of thing. So he's being like overprotective because he lost his little sister when the apocalypse happened. So he's kind of overprotective now. That's just what we're supposed to think. So who knows? But that's at least the rationale.
Yeah, you really don't get to know much about him.
We basically don't really get to see almost anything about him. We're just supposed to trust Kiriko because she's constantly talking him up, so hyping him up. It's like, all right, I guess he's great. But we don't really get to see that much. The second time is when we hear in the Immortal Order, that place, the whole like where Asami is. Apparently he visited there a few years ago and he learned a bunch about the surgery and stuff, and then this suddenly vanished without a trace. Who knows? But he's a pretty good guy.
Refuses to elaborate. Leaves.
Which mirrors something he did at the racetrack place, and also at the very end. He left at the very end after everything happened without a trace. He just keeps having these kind of repeated kind of patterns of just leaving places after. Who knows what he does? So like, what was he really doing at the racetrack place?
And speaking of what he does, the very very last thing we hear of Robin is like that man-eater in the locked room.
Yeah.
And I think to an extent that may have played a bit into like the look of fear he had on his face when he first saw Kiriko again.
Yeah, he's looked terrified. And then remember, Kiriko had another vision of like when she was in her like dream state or something of, seeing Rob, like, why was he acting? Why was he so scared? That's one of the few times the show actually tells you it's like, you should be paying attention to this, by the way. You should take your notes. Take your notes down and pay attention. The other times it doesn't let you, but there it's kind of letting you know it's important.
There's also like he cuffs her initially, but then like when Maru gets like he starts to realize, okay, she's been gone way too long, and he goes in and he hears that they've been screwing, and he's like, there's no way that's happening that quick. So and Maru just Giga Chad just beats the shit out of everybody there, and he goes in, and then he finally finds Robin, and he, what shocked me when I got to that part was that Robin was depicted as like a badass in the first episode, or second or third or whatever, and then in this moment he just looks pathetic and scrawny, and he's like running for his life away from this small child.
I like the little taunts he was trying to like taunt Maru on, like say, hey, what are you looking at? What are you doing? He even like called him gay. It's like, oh, does Haruki take care of you down there?
What?
Like, what are you doing? You're like a grown adult. Stop being like a little child. It's
anyway,
very sad.
But there's also another.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was trying to say this, but basically, so he cuffed Kiriko at first, and then when Maru arrives, Kiriko's hands are tied in ropes.
Mm-hmm. That's an important detail. The author Lily said on Twitter to the fan, it's like, oh yeah, that's important. You should have paid attention to all the little details everywhere. It's all deliberate, right? So it's like, you're rewarded for paying attention.
Nah, it's just a cope.
I like this because then Maru starts like messing with his collar at the end, right, to throw him around. Very funny because he's not even looking at.
I was about to say, like,
there's so much details everywhere. I love it.
The funny thing is like how Robin like concentrate on the collar. Yeah, that image. I was gonna say, what? Hey, what are you looking at, buddy? And I was thinking he's looking at your collar.
It's so good. It's so good. Just little details like that. Again, it doesn't shove it in your face. You're rewarded by like paying attention to the details.
Yeah.
It's sort of like very rare to have a series where he did like have it all written out before in like a little notebook, like the plot and everything. Like before he started drawing it. So it's like, all right, this is a rare to happen in manga where you actually have the mangaka being able to tell a whole pre-planned story, because he is kind of like, he has a little bit of respect and kind of prestige in the magazine, so he can do it.
So I have kind of a take. We were complimenting the pacing and how it goes. It like Salt said, it balances the upbeat tone and the darker tones so well. And this episode is the one case where I feel like it really didn't, because
it's a penultimate episode, right? So
yeah, because it did feel a little just unnatural and just like, in this case, 100 to 0, where we go from her being raped to then, one little conversation between Kiriko and Maru, and then we go back to the goofy tone again, and it just, I don't know, it felt a little weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of swapping in between, like, those plots, and it just kind of felt unnatural. It kind of felt weird.
Yeah.
A very, very ending I don't like. That was anime original where they're talking in the car. In manga, they literally just don't see them have another conversation. Again, the car and leave. It's just like, 3 panels.
It's just it's just tonal whiplash, because
I think that happened because they didn't know if they're going to get a second season and didn't want to leave viewers wanting to just like suicidal at the end or something. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we do get a second season.
To be honest, unless this anime were to get like 2 cores, there really wasn't a way they could have done this without ending
there's
on
no
a
other way to
very
end it, so.
fucked up note. So yeah.
That is a shame. Like, I really, again, I just don't like it. Well, it's short enough that people kind of skip over it, and it does go into like Kiriko's reaction after and the next arc and stuff. But it's not the best. It's not the worst.
Are we ready to give our rating? Are we ready to get to the conclusion?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm gonna say, I give it an A.
What?
Chandler does letter grades because he's a fucking contrarian.
Suck my dick.
So you know what, Daddy?
Suck my S-tier dick.
You know what, Daddy?
I'm
on my way right now. So obviously, like, I read up to where the anime cut off, and then I haven't read any more of the manga. And honestly, the manga I have at like a 10. It's just that good. Everything about it is good. But this adaptation, it is fantastic. It is phenomenal, but it is far from perfect. So I honestly have the anime at like a 9. It's very close, very good.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Okay. I have the anime at an 8. I guess I'm the contrarian this time. It's just because I felt like there were a lot of I just found the pacing to be off. I found like that one Trigger episode to be weird. I loved everything else. I just and I guess another flaw I have is
I'll just say my rating then. I'll give it an 8 or a 9. It wasn't like it's probably the most incredible kind of adaptation I could ever get for one of my favorite manga. Like, I can't believe this got this kind of adaptation for a really not very popular, not super big selling, not successful very manga or anything. So it's insane that it got this kind of like a movie, almost movie grade, basically. Like, half the time it does look like a movie or better than a movie most of the time. So I'm super
animation,
yeah.
The animation is just awesome here.
It's like it looks so clean. The line art is so clean. The production is so clean all around. It just looks. The compositing is wonderful. The compositing is like the main thing, honestly. How they make everything look blended so well together. The backgrounds and everything else. There is obviously some missteps with the like maybe some episodes are a little weaker than others, or they were having trouble struggling to fit some things together. I don't like that they skipped some things like Kiriko's period. That was a big thing. There's a couple of things which aren't like the most super important things ever, but obviously I'm a manga fan, so I'm gonna do that. It's like 9 out of 10 anyways, just because it's so much of a shock that this got such a
Salt was trying to say something.
Masterclass thing. Sorry, that was my rating. Anyways, that's my rating.
Okay,
Yeah, so
I guess my last flaw is just like some of the out-of-pocket scenes. Like,
this is a very adult series.
Look, I get they are narratively important. I still found them very out-of-pocket, though.
Yeah, you're fine for that.
Of course.
That's okay.
Yeah, it is. And like, this is something I absolutely like. Whenever, if I try to recommend it, I say it's very adult. It's very weird. It's very explicit. Yeah. So be careful. It is a sign in one of
I do have to give a disclaimer anytime especially if they're not super familiar with like trans people or culture.
Or any kind of just like, explicit kind of themes. They're used to just normal shows.
I don't really have a problem with the out-of-pocket stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like.
Yeah, in fact, I liked it.
Obviously, I need to say it.
I mean, in fact, I was the sickos meme looking through the window saying yes.
Yeah.
Look, I appreciate edgy stuff. I just found like this stuff to be very a little too much out of pocket.
Of course, sure.
And I guess I also found Kiriko's like some bits of her backstory were just kind of dumb. Like the whole like the fact that he survived having half his torso ate. No, just no.
What do you mean? That happened to me yesterday.
I wonder if like
to my buddy Eric.
I wonder if the way he got like half eaten sort of like stopped the bleeding or something, like cauterized.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe the heart stopped pretty quickly, but perhaps the brain was able to survive for just long enough.
Okay, fine. I still feel like it's a little plot convenient. That's all.
I think about how are they able to do brain transplants all the way in some backwater like race carbs kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole fucking thing of a brain transplant is already like neo-futuristic.
Yeah, especially in that ruined world. I'm sorry.
Post end of Evangelion world.
Fuck
I don't know why I can't say apocalyptic.
I'm gonna come to your house and kill you.
Why can I not say apocalyptic?
Okay, let's kill him. Let's beat him to death with hammers. Oh god.
Me and myself, we're just gonna kill you, dog.
We gonna kill you, dog. I'm talking about we gonna bury you in the dirt and stone you to death.
We're gonna make you watch
We're gonna make you watch Skibidi Toilet on repeat.
I'm gonna make you play The Coffin of Andy and Lele.
I'm gonna make you watch episode 12 of Tengoku Daimakyo over and over and over again.
I don't know what that is.
Heavenly Delusion, you motherfucker! I swear to God.